Well, Happy New Year. Hi, Terry here, and I wanted to share with you some ideas of what's happening now as we're into this new year. It is good. We looked at 2020, many people saying, oh, we want to get beyond that. But I think there's also some good that we can learn from that. And now, as we learn from that, which is good, how we can overcome challenges. Boy, did we ever get an opportunity for that. And now with 2021, here. It's like, okay, we're all ready to go again, but I'm going out on a limb here. I'm going to make a prediction. There's going to be some good opportunities and there's going to be some challenges. How's that for going out on a limb? I know. It's been that way forever and ever. And I think it's okay. But what I want to do in this particular broadcast here is talk to you a little bit about some of the tools that are coming out and some of the new ideas that we see, and more importantly, the mental state that you need to have to address these as an entrepreneur, or as I like to say, for an agorapreneur, because we call ourselves agorapreneurs, which means entrepreneurs who embrace freedom and liberty and voluntarily living life, not initiating force and coercion, but to live life and help others to create abundance and creating abundance for ourselves too. So we're doing all of that. And we're going to be talking about the technology. Now, one of the technologies that I'm talking about and that I've been talking about a lot is Restream. And Restream is a sponsor of our program here, and I am so excited about it. Here's something you'll want to pick up on. Notice I've got a bit.ly/Restream Live Studio. You'll see that if you go there, you'll be able to get some the new features that are in their live studio and how you can use that. Not just here are the features that are there, but rather it's going to be about, hey, here's what you can do and how you can start using this as an entrepreneur. For instance, right now, I'm going out to many different platforms at the same time. Going to Facebook, a few different groups there, also on LinkedIn, and going through Twitter, and also use YouTube. So we got all of that, and we can do even more. You can go up to 30 on there. So I'd recommend take a look at that and see what they've got, what they can do, and how you can use that. And by the way, if you want to use the bit.ly Restream for you, you do that right now. That'll put you in my affiliate program, which means you'll get extra special goodies when we have those. As we create these, we let people know what they're getting, and then you'll be part of the club that way. So bounce over there, take a look at the video there, and take a look at getting involved, because it's going to be something really nice as you work with it. I think that, matter of fact, that's one of the trends that we're seeing right now. People embracing live much more. People are using live, and they're seeing all kinds of options with that. And say there's some good features that are available and can be there. And matter of fact, we're getting a hi there from Gina Carr, my partner, who's down the hall. Nice to have you here, Gina. Appreciate you and all that you do. We've got a wonderful year ahead for 2021, and it's going to be marvelous to get a chance to get out there and do that. But think about what you're doing. Matter of fact, I'd like you to, in the comments, whichever platform you're getting this on, leave a note as to what you are anticipating that will be good. What you're anticipating that's going to be really good for 2021. That's going to be different from 2020, and why? Not just because, well, I'm going to work harder. What could you say now that you couldn't say before? Like, for instance, a lot of people said, well, we learned skills in video. I learned video skills, so now I can do this, which I did not know how to do 1 year ago today. Well, that's a good thing. And so we take what is given to us as a bunch of yuck. I'll use that term right now, a bunch of yuck that was given to us in 2020, but we pivot from that. And we become even better. I know, for instance, as a professional speaker, many professional speakers really got slugged in the gut because, hey, our jobs consisted of, we would hop on an airplane, usually go somewhere. We would be able to work, we'd speak, etc. And then we would finish that. They give us a nice check. We come back home. Well, obviously, we're not doing any traveling, not getting around and traveling a lot. Well, it had to change. And many have pivoted into something that is much more leverageable and has much more capability. And that is using video. In a variety of forms. Live streaming video, like I'm doing right now with Restream, gives you the ability to reach even more people than you could before. Think about it. We would go out to a given place, and there would be a certain number of people that could see you there. That's good. That's good. And I think we will continue to do that. We're doing some of it now in a hybrid meeting. And I think we'll do a lot more later this year when we know, hey, it's safe. But for right now, we're going to be able to do even more online, and it's imminently more leverageable. And matter of fact, I got a comment here that I saw from Cynthia. Cynthia, nice to have you here with us. Using new Zoom skills to make online courses. Now that is a brilliant way to do it. Good for you, Cynthia. I'll really appreciate what you're doing on that. And matter of fact, go ahead and if you'd like, we're going to let you, I'll let you do this. Tell us a little bit about it. If you want to put a link in there so people can find out what it is about. Just because you were kind enough to be here, well, then that's good. And I'd love to have you get some coins out of that. You don't owe me a thing on that. Just do that. But I think that we're going to see a lot of good happening now because we do pivot, like Cynthia was saying, taking that and getting into online courses. I'm finding doing even more coaching because people say, hey, we can now do this over Zoom. It's more accepted. And I think that's a beautiful way to do it. So we can say, hey, this is something we're going to do and something we want to get into, and we want to make sure that we see what is available and how we'll do that. And I think that it can be a really, really good thing to do. But I wanted to share with you something today that I was looking at, really important, that I think will help you a lot. And it's an article that I saw in the Wall Street Journal where they were talking about some predictions for what's going ahead, what's happening, and like that tech that will change your life in 2021. And I think this is something that we want to take a look at and understand, okay, how can we do this? How can we take a look at the tech that's going to be out there, how we're going to use it, and what they said? And then I want to give you some of my comments on that. And I'd love to hear from you and what you think about it and what technology you're seeing that's going to be changing. They've talked about a lot of things happening, the predictions that are going on, and we see that things are quite different than what we thought they were going to be this time last year. The pandemic-inspired innovation, yeah, a lot of good came from that. They've got smartphones, and they're expecting to improve recording and doing a lot more. I'm using my new Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra, and it is a very nice little tool, and I'm amazed at the quality that they have with that and the quality that you can get with just a regular smartphone. Cinematic quality. They even have a pro version on that. I know the iPhone has that as well, and I love using my iPhone 11 that I have. Still nice to be able to use that. And so we'll take a look at it. And so here's what I want to do is see if I see Gina's saying not sharing screen all black. Let's see. I'm wondering right now. Let me know if you're not seeing the article there. We want to make sure that you get that. And thank you for the feedback on that. I appreciate it. And right now it should be on the screen. Let's see. I'm going to try something here. Turning this here and removing it, making sure that we've got that there, sharing that screen, and we want to make sure that you're getting that application, and we will get that the technology here and share that. So there we go. And let's see, we should see that right now. I think that could be going, but it's not sharing the screen all black. Well, then thank you for letting me know that. Here we go. Let's try it this way. And there we go. Now it should be on there. And Gina Carr, I appreciate your help on that to make sure that we get this just right. Now sing it, and that's important. Got to make sure we throw all those switches in the right way and do it in the right way. So we're seeing a lot of these UV sanitizers coming out as well. But I think also, here's something very interesting. Laptops are arming up. I'm aware of Apple releasing the new MacBook Air and MacBook Pro that ditched Intel inside for Apple's own M1. The result? Machines that have never been so quiet and cool and lasted so long on one charge. And I think that is something that is really nice. That's the kind of thing that is going to help us do more. I'm using my MacBook Pro right now. And when you start doing a lot with video, when you start doing a lot with tools like Restream, Zoom, I'm using Ecamm, and there are many other really good tools out there. It takes a lot more horsepower, takes a lot more on that. And the M1 chips that they have from Apple look to be very good. Those that I work with and talk to at Ecamm have run it through its paces. And they said for using Ecamm, it's got some real good tools, particularly on the MacBook Pro side. The MacBook Pro side, a little bit better than the MacBook Air. When you're getting into some heavy duty video production, I think that will be really, really important, and we want to do that. But I like what they said here in the article about this. Also, we're seeing that Intel's have gone to lower powered ARM technology as well. That's going to be better like that. So make it a point, if you're going to buy a new Mac, I would recommend you look at the M1 chip, whether you're getting for the Mac, the standalone computer that you can just add your own keyboard and add the monitors, or if you're going to do a MacBook Pro, that would be good. Now, here's a change that's taking place in our world. Hollywood at home. We know now they're using a lot of film available first time that it comes out instead of going to a theater where people can't go often, and they're putting that in there on your device so you can get it at home. I would be interested in what you have to say about that, because to me, that is something that's really, really important. It's the kind of thing that we have to say, well, is that a good thing? I think it is. If they say, okay, hey, first run movie, and it's going to cost you $30 or whatever the number might be. I think it's like 29 something, or that it might be $50. What if it was $10? Let the people see that. And I think what we want to do is we want to find out where the demand is. I think people, yeah, sure, they bring in their friends and they say, hey, $30 to let all my friends see this movie, I'll be happy to do it. This way, people are getting a chance to enjoy. They're able to be with their friends. They can be in an environment of people that they like to be with. And I think the movie theaters are still creating money, the actors and all of the host of wonderful people who work to create those things. Now, you might think, well, wait a minute, what about the theater owners? Yeah, what about those people that work at the theaters and they provide the popcorn and the drinks and they provide the atmosphere so you have that wonderful widescreen experience? Well, they're going to have to adapt. Much like drive-through theaters went kind of out of business in the 70s and 80s, but they started coming back now. We've seen that coming back. We've got to adapt and change. And I think it really comes back to an important principle, and that is, how do you define what you do? If you define yourself as a public speaker, I think you're in trouble. Because a public speaker is someone who's going out, holding a microphone, standing on a stage where people are there in person. Then you've really blocked yourself in. It's kind of the old article that we saw, I forget right now who wrote that in the Harvard Business Review back in the 60s, that the problem with the railroads, where they saw themselves in the railroad business versus being in transportation. If you define yourself as being in the holding a microphone, standing in front of a group of people, delivering a message business, you're in trouble. But if you define yourself as a communicator, that's nice. That's good. I like to use the term CSP. Now, the National Speakers Association, of which I'm a member, has a designation called a Certified Speaking Professional. I have one of those. It takes a lot of work to get that, and that's a good thing to have. But I also think CSP can mean something that's profoundly important for us to understand as speakers. We are communicators who solve problems. Communicators who solve problems. I want you, as you're watching this, think about how you define yourself going forward into 2021. If you say, well, I do this one thing, dividing it by a function, you might be missing the mark or not getting as much opportunity as you could. Instead, define yourself as someone who helps people have enjoyable experiences while they're consuming food, to enjoy hospitality and entertainment with friends. That's a way you could say, yeah, I have a restaurant. But you would define it in a different way. Define it in a way such that you're able to address the needs of those wonderful people you call customers or patients or clients or members, or whatever term you're going to use for those wonderful people who pay the bills. So I think that would be something to think about, a mindset that we shift from saying, this is what I do, to something where we're going to say, hey, I'm doing a whole lot more. Well, let's go back here to the article and take a look at that and see what's there. I think the article is on the screen. Yeah, it should be there. As working with that, want to make sure the technology is always working. That's one of the things I love about live. Live means you get out there, and if you make a mistake, hey, these things happen. Don't worry about it. We'll be okay. We'll survive somehow. We'll make sure that that is working in a way that gives you the ability to learn with it and do a lot more. Matter of fact, I should have myself there on the screen right now so you can see a little bit of me too. I like that. But I think, see what they've done here, bringing Hollywood at home. So this way we're going to redefine what we have. I know for Gina and me, we love watching Netflix. We watch Amazon Prime, YouTube and videos like that. And the challenge is there's so many good things out there, we can't watch them all. But there's some good ones. By the way, one we're watching right now is one we've seen before that we just love. It's called Turn, T-U-R-N, and it's about Washington's spies. General Washington, because it was General George Washington at that time, back in the American Revolution. Superb acting, superb scripting, and historically, as far as I know, it looks like it's pretty accurate. So I'd be interested in hearing someone, if you haven't seen that, take a look at it. Now, here's some other things too. They talk about reality. assisted, not augmented. I like the idea of having some of those out. I'm looking for that. I think that will be good. And more remote workouts and doctor visits. I think that's true. Something that we're going to see more and more of is being able to do remotes where you can have someone that will help you be there with you. And I'm going to put with you in air quotes because they'll be at their home. They'll be on Zoom. You'll be on Zoom. And this is a very successful thing that a lot of people are doing right now. And here's another one. E-commerce does not equal Amazon. That's right, because what we're seeing now is we're seeing more and more people, more and more companies are getting into it and being able to provide. Walmart is now offering it with their Walmart Plus service. What they are saying is if you're a part of Walmart Plus, they will provide shipping. If it's over $35, no charge for the delivery. And they put that together. And I think, hey, this has some real potential. Right now, Gina and I are using some wonderful services. We're using Shipt, and we've got some Uber Eats and others like many of you are. You're using that as well. And I find, hey, that's really nice. I like being able to help someone know that I'm helping them to have a job. The people that deliver that to us, we just love them to pieces. And we can give them a nice tip, make sure it's worth their while. And they are happy. The people at the stores are happy. We're happy because we didn't have to take our time to go out and do that. And so that's something there. By the way, Cynthia, you're saying that you are watching that as well. You're on the 3rd season of Turn and Hooked. Oh, yeah, you can get hooked. I think we just finished we're on the 3rd one as well. We've gone through it, and it gets a cliffhanger each time. You got, oh no, we got to see this next one. Gina and I will look at each other and we'll say, okay, only one more. Okay, only one more. It's when it's a school night and we got to get up in the morning, but we're going, we got to find out what happened. So it's like that. I recommend it strongly. Look into that. And thanks for your message there. Appreciate that. And so what we're looking at now is, I think, our world changing in some major ways. Where we see that what's going on here, we're seeing that, hey, you got e-commerce at Amazon. It does not mean Amazon only. It's something that you'll be able to use from many different places. And here's what I would suggest to you as an entrepreneur that you are. Think about how you can adapt that way. How can you deliver your product, your service, your expertise to people in a more convenient way? And what you can do is you want to be able to keep moving and adapting and be able to adjust with the terrain as it goes. We saw that in Turn, that people had to change. And the way of life as they knew it, being a subject of the king, being there, serving Mother England, people realized they didn't want to do that anymore. They wanted their freedom. They wanted their liberty. And they had to make some sacrifices, a lot of sacrifices for that. And I think that's important to know. Got a comment here. So Gina says you can't watch just one. That is for sure. And we've proven that also. And now she just hit on something here. This is important. Simcoe is such a good villain. I have grown to just detest that Simcoe. Yeah, that's the way it was. That means I forget the name of the character who plays him. He does a superb job of making us just want to take him and slap him silly because Simcoe is just the evil villain in there. And so they have done that well. Well, I want you to think about this and how that would relate to you as an entrepreneur. What can you do to help better serve and adapt to this new world? One of the things I would suggest right off the bat, this January, right? And right now, as the world is looking at the new year, think of people that you want to call and find out how they're doing. Not trying to sell, no, just what can I do to help you? Are you doing okay? Want to make sure you're doing fine. And I think that kind of human reaching out is really important. It separates those who are successful from those who are only trying to be. What we want to do is we want to adapt there in many different ways. And so I think those are going to be some important things that are there. And this article here in the Wall Street Journal, I think, was particularly good. And then here's another one. You can relate to this one right here. Death by subscription. How many subscriptions are we going to get? They call it here everything as a service, EAAS, as they like to call it. I think that's a good thing. A lot of it is there. Netflix has raised its price. Disney announced that in March, the monthly price will go from $6.99 to $7.99. These are all part of it. But I think what you want to do as an entrepreneur, think about this. What you can do is you can find a way that you can have a subscription so that people are paying you a set fee every month and you give them an abundance of goodies. It's good for them because they got something coming in that's really useful. They're getting a steady, reliable supplier of a good or a service. For you, It's those wonderful words, monthly recurring revenue. I love those. Doesn't that just sound magical? Monthly recurring revenue. And I think that's something that is really important for us as entrepreneurs to focus on. The world is ready for it. Just like here, it says in the article, we see that, okay, we've got the subscriptions there. We're used to them. It's a model that we accept and something that you could build on top. And return of the trust fall. I think we've got here is there's a lot that we need to know about and to find remote work has its many advantages. Building trust between employees isn't one of them. Online, there's no water cooler, no nearby coffee shop for informal brainstorms, no place to grab a drink after work. But companies whose employees worked remotely long before the pandemic already had a solution, and that's the off-site retreat. And I'm going to say, yes, indeed, I agree with that a lot because I think that we still want to get together. Of course, we'll do it in a safe way. And I think that that's just kind of as a given. It's like people that believe in freedom and liberty will often say, do anything you want as long as you do not initiate force and coercion. And it's kind of like that little phrase we need to put in there. And it's important. It's important that we do keep the distance as well in the right way because it is real. I have just yesterday found out a dear friend of mine has been tested positive for COVID-19. I have lost friends as a result of it. You might have as well. And there have been thousands, and we feel for them. But I think what we want to do is we want to find ways that we can creatively connect with other people. Now, yeah, it's not the same on Zoom as it is in person. I get it. I understand that. But it's also a whole lot better than nothing at all. It's a whole lot better than phone alone, just voice. You want to be able to be there with someone and connect. That is really, really important. So focusing on that, I think, is good. And so I would say that's going to be important, as they mentioned in that article, that you are able to redefine what you're doing even in 2021. Not going to take very long before we realize, okay, it's not going to be perfect. Matter of fact, we're going to see that very soon in the political scene here in the U.S. as things change, whatever happens. I just think too much acrimony and too much arguing and fighting back and forth. And I think the answer is let us do what we want to do with our lives without harming others. And I think you've got to look at whoever's in office, because whoever is going to be president of the United States, really, that is not going to affect you as much as you taking control of your life. You arm yourself with what you need. Matter of fact, I would encourage you to consider a news diet to reduce or eliminate a lot of the news that's coming in. I find I read the Wall Street Journal and I get the front page. They have what's news. Gives me enough to know what's going on, so I'm still in tune, but I don't need to know all the grisly, gory details of this latest tragedy happened over on the west side of town, or this happened there or there. Focus on how you can acquire the skills so that people will say, hey, you can help me with that? Well, then I want to know about that. I want to do those things and make sure that we're ready to go for that. And see our friend here, Robert Kennedy. Hey, Robert, hope you're doing well and Happy New Year to you. You wonderful guy. Hey, it's a guy right here that really knows about video and how to get out there and do it. If you want to see some really good content and some good tricks on how to use video, how to do it the right way professionally, and in the right way, see Robert Kennedy III. And he didn't tell me to say that. He's not paying me anything. He doesn't owe me anything for it. I just think he's a wonderful guy, and you want to get in touch with folks like that as well. And let's see, we also got a message here from Gary. Gary says, hi, Terry, do you have a model for how to forget and then reinvent? You know, that's an excellent question, Gary. And I think what you want to do is be able to just, I find I work best when I can be alone, when I can be quiet and think about that, have a time of meditation and just realize in a stoic way, as Epictetus or Marcus Aurelius or Seneca would say, what can I control? And if I can, then okay, I can do something about it. But most of the things that happen are out of our control. So I think to forget it, we might not even forget. We might just say, look, it's not my job. I can't do anything about that any more than I'm not trained as a heart surgeon. You don't want me doing heart surgery. I never went to medical school. I'm not a medical person. There are many other wonderful physicians who are trained in that and can do that. So you would say, okay, I'm just going to trust that this other person will do that. I'll do this over here. You do what you do best. And then reinvent based on what the marketplace is saying. And Gary, you have done that. And by the way, I'm mentioning some of the folks here. Gary OSullivan is a person who is a genius when it comes to connecting and selling. He has worked in several industries, one of which is the funeral industry, helping them to solve their needs, to get their message out and help them. And I would recommend those, if you're watching this, go over and look him up. Do a Google on this guy. He's really, really smart on that. So Gary, I think you've been doing that throughout your career and doing it very well, where you say, okay, what are we going to do? We got to pivot and change. And I think the very first thing is to realize we have to. It's human nature to say, I want to stay doing what I did because, oh, this is what I know. Hey, you take me back to third grade, I could play football pretty well right now. Well, maybe, but no, it's not going to happen. I'm going back to third grade. And we're not going back to 2020. We're not going back to 2019 or any other time. We're always moving forward. And you need to adapt and adjust. I think one of the best metaphors we can have is to think of water. And as Bruce Lee said, be the water, adapt, change, and adjust to the circumstances of what is coming now. That means, well, what you got to do is you got to adjust. You've got to continually monitor what's happening and look what's relevant. And you know, the good news about that is that as we change and as we keep adjusting our thinking and look at, okay, what can I do now? We stay alive. We stay fit physically and mentally. And that is something that we definitely want to do regularly on that basis. Got another comment here from Robert that I would pay you though. It's good to have a height. Well, I just appreciate you, my friend, and hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful year ahead. Look forward to seeing you many times on that. And we'll be able to do a whole lot. So it's a new year ahead. Lots of new technologies out there. One that I think you definitely want to look into if you are a communicator, if you are someone who communicates a message, or you want to get through to people, and that is live streaming. I'm finding live streaming, it's fun. Now, you got to be out there because you've seen me. And those of you that have seen me before, you know, hey, things adjust and adapt, and sometimes it doesn't work the way we want it to. I had a big program I was doing a couple weeks ago, and I went on, we were going to do the event at the top of the hour. So 30 minutes before, I'm there with the client. We're checking everything out on a different location. Didn't use the same link that we would use for the event. We're checking all the AV, all the sound, the video, the script of what we're going to do. We're ready to go. We were ready to go. And so at about 10 minutes till, we terminated that call and launched another, or I should say, we tried to launch another, and it just didn't work. And we were trying everything and calling back and forth. And we think, what's going on here? We did the testing, and then we went past the top of the hour, and it's 5, it's 10, it's 15 minutes later. Well, I got in touch with their support and found out, ooh, their whole system had a crash just as we were getting ready to go on. And I think anyone else that was going on at that time, well, these things happen. And the company really did a good job too. They put their people on it right away. They let us know, hey, we don't know there's a problem. We're getting it fixed right now. And within a few minutes, they did have it back up and running. So those things happen, and that's live. So just roll with the punches. Get used to it. You've got to adapt. You've got to adjust and be ready for whatever is happening. I would recommend for you, as you're getting started this year, have those clear goals of what you're going to do. Physical goals, because a physical body is important, that you're taking care of it, getting the right kind of exercise, rest, meditation, and prayer, and whatever works for you for being quiet. Get the right nutrition. If you need a doctor to take a look at you, that's a good idea to do that every so often. Let them just, check all fluid levels, make sure all systems are operating within normal parameters. Do that because the physical body is where everything else comes from. And then for your business, who are you going to reach out to? What are you going to do even in the midst of a changing circumstance? Think about all the goals that we put together at the first of 2020. We're going to do this, and I'll have this many sales, and I'll do this, and I'll do that. And a lot of those just got blown away. Somewhere around March, April, May, we realized it's a different world. And so a new normal, well, I think this is the new abnormal, and it's going to be that way. And so we just keep adapting. And so, hey, you're not going to get bored. That's the good news. And you're going to be able to keep going, though. So I would suggest look at that. And as you're looking into live streaming has some really good options. And again, I would say take a look at what we've got here and what can be done. That program I put together, I've got a video that you can look at, no charge, of course. You don't even have to put in your name and address or email, any of that. bit.ly/Restream Live Studio. You'll get a chance to see what they're doing at Restream, and it is a really good tool. That's what I'm using right now. And it has the ability for you to connect with your customers where they are. Rather than saying, well, hey, I've got a live stream and it's over here on just this one platform, and I want you to come over here to this one platform and see me. No, what you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, it's going to be a little bit different. And it's something that I am going to do, and I'm going to get a chance to see what is happening, and I'll be able to be there with them. If they're on YouTube, that's where I want to be. They're on Facebook on a particular group, that's where I want to be. And you can be there all at the same time with the right tool, something like Restream. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Of course, we're doing this live right now. And many of you, I know most people, will watch this recorded. So I will be monitoring this within the next 48 hours. I like to do that particularly closely to say, okay, what's going on? If you have a question, drop it in there, or you can send me a note, terry@terrybrock.com. Matter of fact, I think I got a caption up here somewhere for that. Yeah, here we are. Let me put that up there. There we go, terry@terrybrock.com. And you can drop me a note that way. If you have further question, go, Terry, what about this? Or I think this or that. I really want to hear from you. So for those of you joining us here, thank you. I wish you a very rewarding, prosperous, peaceful, and purposeful new year ahead. Lots of good ahead for you, and I look forward to hearing about it from you.